All right, welcome everybody to the Synapse Philosophy Group. We are reading page 53 and 56, and we're discussing tone tonight on our podcast. It is a beautiful day. I'm excited to have you guys with us. And, does anybody have any new things they want to discuss before I read or anything going on? All right, I'm going to start on page 53, and this is like a little poem. It was written by Dr. Elizabeth Helfrich prior to 1910, because that's the year this book was written, and I thought it was really nice. If your marriage seems a failure, and your wife is always cross, and the pleasure of your life don't even up with the loss, it needs an adjustment. If your religion is out of fix, does not bring you joy it should, it's twice as easy to do wrong as to do your neighbor good, you need an adjustment. If your business is in the bum and nothing seems to pay, if expenses more than double your income day by day, it needs an adjustment. If you're not feeling as you should, your digestion is out of whack, with cold and clammy feelings crawling up and down your back, you need an adjustment. Then consult a chiropractor. If you would be free from chills, if you'd have health and happiness, quit taking quinine pills, take adjustments. Dr. Elizabeth Helfrich, page 53, 1910. I think that's a nice one.
That's great.
Okay, we all need an adjustment. We adjust our lives. We adjust our vertebra. We adjust our spirit, which I think is very important. And we have to communicate chiropractic to people. And a lot of this stuff is a little bit esoteric that we talk about. And I understand that. How do we talk about God's spirit, innate? We don't have 10 minutes on the table to open a discussion. So very often we have little tidbits, we call it table talk or what have you. And that's where tonight we were going to talk about tone. What does tone mean to you? If chiropractic is based upon tone, what is that? What does it mean? What does it feel for you? How would you express it to someone else? All right. So I'm going to open up the floor, and I know, Alan, you've done your homework, but why don't you hold off a minute if that's okay?
I'm good.
And we'll see if anybody else has anything. What does tone mean to you? All right, Alan, go ahead. Let's start.
And I annotated a couple of things because I went through, literally, there's a bunch of listings in the back of the book, and I went through all the listings, and some of them just mention the word tone on a page, and other of them go into a lot of different things. But he says specifically, tone is the normal activity, strength, and excitability of the various organs and functions as observed in health. A response to tonicity. Tonicity is the normal elasticity of the filamentary and thread or thread-like structure of the body. So, and in another part, he says, tone is the state or condition of the body or any of its organs or parts in which the organ or animal functions and performs with due vigor. Tonicity or tone is a quality belonging to solids, and it's normal when tension or partial contraction of nerves and muscles are at rest. All life, vegetable and animal, depends on tone for its normal and abnormal existence. He talks about tone as being the normal tension of all parts of the body, and in other parts talks about how that's transmitted in the nerve system. But he says it's always the normality of tone is balance effectively.
So when the body is in harmony, when things are functioning at its best, the tone, our vibration is harmonious with the rest of the system.
And he talks about that any abnormality, it's actually like I talked when I use graphing in my office, and I would talk to my practice members and say, the analogy I used was, if you worked in retail, at the end of the day, if the register is over or under, it's not right. And he says the same thing here about tone in the body. Over or under is the problem. You can have too much or too little. If you have too much tension, and he mostly talks about heat as and inflammation. Is like too much work creates too much heat, and then that's what inflammation is. If the muscles are too tight, the nerves are working too hard, then that's too much, and then laxity would be the other side of that. So
excellent.
He says all disease is a function of too much or too little tone.
And if we're talking about how our organs and everything function, if we talk about tone, it makes a lot of sense, right? Vibration. If the nerve is under tension, then we have less function or communication. And tone, I think, is coming up so much more in other philosophies and ideology. He was just beginning to understand it. And I really feel it's a vital portion of understanding, vitalistic thought and how the world functions. Everything is a vibration. Ice is or water is an easy way to think of tone too. If a molecule is moving quickly, it's boiling, and it becomes gas. If it's moving very slowly, it becomes more solid. But every molecule is vibrating, including my phone, the paper. Every molecule is actually moving. So if we're moving in a different tone, we have a whole other state of being, a whole other substance. There's Dave.
And one of the analogies in here is music, where the string vibrates, or the column of air vibrates in a horn. That's the way the reed makes it. The way the reed vibrates makes it change, or the way you move your lips and make the air change going into the horn creates a different vibration, and higher vibrations have a different tone than slower vibrations. The wavelengths change the tone. And as a tone that we're more normally talking about, a tone that we're more that's more available to many of us. And we don't talk about tone in relation to the body as much as we do to tones of music.
Logan, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, so I guess I would just propose this question of that tone in the body, would you say is based off of the compression or relaxation of the spinal cord, and that's the tone that we're talking about in chiropractic? Because if we're just talking about the tone of a muscle, say it's been sprained, that's more therapeutic. But when we look at what he's saying, and what I'm kind of interpreting is that when he mentions tone, he's talking about the tone of the spinal cord and how the meninges are affecting and stabilizing the spinal cord, and how that's affecting the rest of the body. So I was just thinking about that during this conversation.
My thought is that he is including the spinal cord and nerves in tone. Where do the nerves begin and end? The organs are really, a sprout of the nerves, if we want to look at it in that sense. I think he's talking about entire tone. And then I think really that vibration out into spirit. And that's why we do in innate adjusting, like we did, we're connecting with that bioenergetic field. But that tone, that vibration, to me, is also into that spiritual realm. So, and all the spiritual talk that Didi does, I would imagine that he would encompass that in there as well. I don't know. He doesn't really mention tone with spirit very often. or ever that I've ever noticed. Alan, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, let me see if I can find it real quick for us, because he does. Late in the book. Give me a second, I'm sorry.
Let me read this real quick from Christian. Tone is the feeling the person's alive with our spirit. You can feel the body breathe, and you can feel the warmth of the body. Tone can increase in life or decrease in life. Yeah, you see people with a very low tone. You can see them when people are ill. That's what they say when they have a low tone, or even children, they say they have a low muscle tone. You know, absolutely. I think it's a palpable thing. And when you look at the tensegrity models, like in BGI, we talk about you can't affect one part of the body without affecting the other. Same thing with tightening a string on a guitar or a violin. That tone and resonance pulling across there, you're changing that vibration from one place to the next. You're affecting the whole by one area being affected, being out of tune. Yeah, I like that. Alan, go ahead.
So,
Bob's got something.
Come on, let Bob go.
So we have a universal intelligence in charge of this whole thing. And there's I would imagine, a basic tone to that great spirit, that universal intelligence. And then innate is in our package of it. So we would also have the same tone on that level. So then I'm starting to look at it now that we're talking about this and think of that, how does that tone move through our body? And that's where there's a physical element, because we do live in a physical world. And so like if a singer sings a note and it matches the tone of a crystal glass, that glass can shatter. But we want to make sure that the tone in our body is able to house that spiritual tone, that it wouldn't cause us any harm in any way, but would be something that would resonate through us.
You think about this, if your strings are dirty on a stringed instrument, your tone will be different. Your vibration will be different. If you play the guitar or anything like that, you got to clean your strings. It'll make a difference in the outcome. Absolutely. And I want to welcome Manya. We just spoke a couple of moments ago. She's a student at Palmer. We've got Palmer, Life. We've got Mexico here. Everybody, I'm excited. That's awesome. So, yeah, good. Alan, did you find what you were looking for?
He talks under the headline of tone on page 971 in the book. He talks about life consists of the renitency and the elasticity of tissue. Renitency is resistance to physical pressure.
Thank you.
And its response to impulses. These constitute intelligent action, life guided by intelligence, the soul, the synthesis which unites spirit and body.
Beautiful. Wow. Can you just post that page quote on this so everybody can have it? You just type in what's that page? It's
page 971, and the headline on the page is tone.
Okay, I'm just putting that in for everybody. We can look that up. Good.
Tone is the foundation upon which, as basic principle, I build my science. From tone originates all the principles which constitute the science and philosophy of chiropractic. And in another place, he differentiates the science and philosophy from the art. He says tone is involved here, but not in art.
Interesting. Huh. I wonder why he didn't conclude.
He clearly differentiated that the tone is the basis of the science and philosophy, not the art.
Well, because maybe, I wonder why. Interesting. That is really interesting. I want to acknowledge everybody on here. This is the 1% of chiropractic. This is minds breaking down our philosophy that's well over 100 years old and nurturing it. This is fantastic. From around the world, okay? I'm excited about it. All right. And Hugo Diego, I don't think we've met yet. So I welcome you too, all right? Okay, so anybody else want to communicate anything about tone? I love it.
Well, I don't know about, I think tone has to do with a vibrational, like the string of the guitar. It's a vibrational regulation. Now, I think as chiropractors, it's important for us to tune in to the vibration that is this universal, that from which there is, I think if there was an oscilloscope, there's a tone that is the I am that I am. The original tone in the beginning was the word. The Eastern people talk about the Om, but we're human beings. We can dip our attention, awareness into a ultimate, most subtle vibration, and that washes us, and it makes our tone normal by connecting to the ultimate vibration through getting quiet, being receptive, and going to that vibration, which if it was on an oscilloscope, it would be a flat line, but not death at all. It is the source of all vibration. And I think that tone comes from, normal tone comes from being able to contact that ultimate vibration on the inside. That's what I have to share.
I love it. I was just thinking about tone and adjusting, right? Because what I teach and how I live is that how is my vibration when I step into someone's field? And my tone, how am I vibing in that moment? I had 3 newborns today. One was born at 7 o'clock this morning, okay? And, there were 2 families with 4 children each, and then my kids were there, and they're really good at stirring up a lot of other kids, my children. The whole place was blowing up. And I had to bring myself down into this moment with a mom who just had a baby this morning, bringing this newborn in, and to bring myself down to peace is really bringing that tone down. So my vibration to step into that field of service, I had to be 100% right. That's the practice that I have done over my years to be able to do that quickly. But I'm still thinking about what Alan said in tone, and not part of adjusting and the art and the philosophy, but not part of the. No, it's not part of the art.
Science and philosophy.
Science and philosophy. I like it. Okay.
Well, I got something else for you from this then that goes to exactly what you just said.
Go for it.
While it is fact that thoughts are things, right out of the book.
Love it.
Are entities that we influence each other and ourselves for good or bad by our thinking. It is also a fact that it is mental condition in and of ourselves. It is one of the 3 methods I recognize for creating normal and abnormal nerve and muscle tension. So thought is that you can change. He talks about literally that you can heal yourself with your thoughts. So that connects to what we're talking, because then he goes into autosuggestion, which has been redefined as thoughts, but maybe slightly different in reality. But
what page is that?
That's on page 354. And he talks about the faculty of receiving mental impressions through sensory or sense organs of the body, those of sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, perception, apprehension, recognition, understanding, discernment, and appreciation of our physical surroundings, the occult and spiritual of intuition, and the immediate perception of truth and immaterial insight, the internal of imagination and memory, the discriminating qualities of intensification, extension, and temporal. The affective feeling of tone attaches to each sensation, determined by the amount of tension is conscious intelligence. So the affective feeling of tone attaches to each sensation, determined by the amount of tension is the conscious intelligence.
That's gorgeous. That is
Physiological
gorgeous.
tension is the usual or normal, and over or under amount of strain is pathological. And then in bold letters, the amount of nerve tension depends on the position of individual bones of the osseous frame, the keyboard, to which the nerves are attached, which goes to what Logan was saying earlier. Then he says the tension is related to what's happened. The tension of the nerve system is affected by its surroundings.
Its surroundings,
The
not
muscles,
just the body.
The muscles and bones, but specifically the bones, affect the nerve system, and he talks in other places about how the transmission of information along there. Might have to go hunt for that one though.
I might have to make that one a post so we can put that into
with that piece I was just reading.
Yeah, if you want to put it up on the Synapse page, and that's pretty cool stuff. A lot of good info there.
Right. I'll get that together. I'll send it. I think you have to approve them to get them posted, but I'll send it.
I took the approval part off. It's just,
all right.
I'm trying to figure all this out. I thought we could. You got one posted the other day. You did.
Okay.
You got it right. I'm by far not the Facebook expert.
Not from my phone.
Well, that's a lot of really good stuff. How do we communicate that to our people? Let's shift gears. How do we communicate that to our people? What do you guys think? What about you, Dave? What do you think? Go ahead, Fernando.
Well, as you have said about the tone and the string in an instrument, I think that I would take that example to the patients and explain that we are working as if we fix the tune, in the instrument.
Like tuning an instrument. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because and also if you want to see it like that, we are more important than the musician. If the string is not in tune, the musician can't play it correctly.
That makes
Correct.
a lot of sense. I like that. You must be a musician.
Yeah. Yeah.
The quality of the instrument makes a big effect on the quality of the practitioner. So our instruments, okay, so is the person the instrument, or are these the instruments?
I think the person.
The limitations of matter.
Yeah.
So there may be limits to the changes it may be able to physiologically at any given moment. There may be limitations to the changes that their body can make at that time as it works to improve and heal itself.
Okay.
And we have to. So we're trying to tune the instrument, but they're the instrument.
And I think we're part of that instrument. Like
Yeah,
the bow to the violin. The violin would just be a ukulele if it didn't have the bow. So I think we all play a part in that, and that's why we have to be harmonious with our people and being at ease within ourselves and being part of the action of the adjustment, not just from our thrust, but how we are in that field. If I'm thinking about the bills I have to pay, my car broke down, my mule won't move, whatever it is, then we cause the instrument to be out of tune as well. I think we have an effect on it. And I think that's why some people say, oh, I didn't like going to that guy, but they like going to this guy. And you do almost the same adjustment, or girl or whatever. It's a matter of how you vibe with that person. I think that's a real thing. Awesome discussion. Anybody have anything else? Anyone add anything?
I just wanted to say that I really like your shirt that you're wearing this week.
Hey, my daughter picked it out today for the office. Thank you very much. Now you just, boosted my ego a little bit. I feel pretty good. Thank you very much. Now my tone is increased.
There you go. You improved his tone, yes.
Christian, how's it going, buddy? You got something? So, go ahead.
And I was just thinking, what if people have their own tone, but we don't have to interfere there to make it correct? Life gave them their own tone. Let's think about the instruments. A brand new instrument, let's say it comes already toned. It has a tone. So, but there's something else that it's affecting its sound. So I think we don't need to adjust the tone or make a person vibrate more, because I think it's in it in 100%, like it's innate intelligence. It is born with the body. So I think we don't adjust the tone. I think we do something else, but I can't have the clear idea to express it right now.
That's a good start. Yeah, they're their own entity. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of techniques that use auto-suggestion on other people. There are some that are very popular. BJ was absolutely against it. He said it in some of his talks. But having that auto-suggestion on other people, that's us putting our educated intelligence upon someone else. Because the things we think about are very powerful. And that leads me back to what Alan said before on page 371 about thoughts. Pasquale used to say to us all the time, thoughts are things. Remember that, Bob? Thoughts are things, thoughts are things, thoughts are things. I didn't realize that was on page 371.
354 for that one.
354, my mistake. 354.
Thoughts are things is 354.
And, how we're creating our reality and how we're thinking. That's what I think is, stinking thinking or whatever's going on, why we have to be clear in stepping into that field of service with people. I think that's one of the hardest things in practice is not getting new people. It's about being clear within as we step up to the bat, as we step in to give that adjustment. Go ahead, Bob. I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, actually, in addition to what you were talking about, what Pascal used to tell us, because he obviously spent a lot of time thinking about that subject. He would say, if you think hate, then inside of you, a structure of hate is built. And so you could see how then these thoughts can be destructive or on the other side, constructive. I would say on the other side of that, if you're thinking love, then you're building love structures within you. So yeah, it really is important to have good thoughts.
And Bob, you said something important. The structure determines function. And how are you structured? And very often we think of that on a very simple plane, but you just added a big dimension to that you and I are used to listening to from Pasquale. Maybe you can expound on that structure a little bit.
I don't know how I don't know how it's built inside of us and what it would look like, other than, even no matter which science you go to, is like psychological type of sciences, I would imagine, they know that these thoughts are destructive, and people feel it in themselves when they have certain thoughts that it's not doing them any good. So I don't really know. I can't expand on that because I don't know what that structure would look like or where it would manifest.
Well, when we're creating our reality, we're creating a structure around us. We even talk about how the structure of the vertebra, if it's putting that under tension, it's changing the tone or vibration of the body, or even the neural system. We are structured to be, one thing. We could even think in the neural system, how the structures of the neurons, if you're thinking in one way, they'll structure themselves over in, to perpetuate more of that, or hate or love or whatever. And he used to talk about structure and function all the time in different ways than we talk about in structure and function in school, which I really liked, actually. It's good. Anybody else?
Christian, we're not trying to change the tone of the practice member. What we're doing is trying to remove what's later become termed as interference. And what Dee says here that I read a moment ago is the amount of nerve tension depends on the position of individual bones of the osseous frame, the keyboard to which the nerves are attached. So that it's if we're trying to allow the body to achieve the normal tone of the nerves, so the nerves can then transmit information properly to allow a proper communication between brain cell and tissue cell. And what Bob was just saying, oddly, the synchronicity. I love synchronicity when it happens. Sometimes synchronicity and miracles are the same thing as far as I'm concerned. But this came up today from a friend of mine on Facebook. She posted, if you play violin for 8 hours a day, then parts of the brain responsible for helping you play the violin will get larger. If you're thinking stressful thoughts for the whole day, then those parts of the brain will get larger too.
Says it all right there.
What you pay attention to is what you get.
Hi, Hugo. Do you have something to add? Good to see you. Well, we went through a lot of really in-depth things just now, and I really enjoy this. What we are doing, my project now, I'm hiring somebody, is I post this on the Synapse page and I post this on the YouTube page. We're going to start a podcast with these audios and just the audio only as a companion of the stuff that we've already done, because not everybody wants to look at Zooms anymore. Watching the videos to get the philosophy, we're going to have it as just an audio podcast of us, of our discussions now as well. That's going to be plus what we're doing, because a lot of people have asked that so they can listen in their car and that type of thing. So we're growing. That's a good thing. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Good that people want to hear this.
It is. It's amazing.
It's true.
Listen, that's why I said this is the 1%. You know how many people are talking about philosophy and chiropractic right now? You see it right here. This is it.
Enough.
Yeah. This is it. So we need to do it more. This is awesome. We got people from around the world in here. It's just awesome. Next week, we're going to page 56, about the middle of the page, the second paragraph down, where Dee gives BJ a little dig, and I'll give you a little bit of this. He says, the chiropractor, when I was the editor, the chiropractor adjuster and manuscript cared for by BJ, which was written 5 years before he discovered that he was the daddy of chiropractic. So there was a little dig on there because he was picking on BJ at the time, who thought he knew everything about chiropractic, which I think was really great. But there's a lot of good stuff on that page. We're going to 56 to 57, the top paragraph pretty much. And then we'll discuss that as well. Doesn't mean that we're done now. I just wanted to give you that little bit of input. If anybody needs this book on PDF, just send me a message on Messenger. Yeah. I've sent it to a few people. You could run it through Google Translate, and I have done it for multiple books and post them in Mexico. So if you want to translate it to Spanish, it would be really cool if someone could go through and edit if there were some mistakes on there in Spanish, because it's not so easy for Google. But it'd be a good project for us to start running through this. They'll do 10,000 words at a time. And I've done volume 33 and I've done the 1914 through Google Translate. So hint, hint. We can start doing this, because this is valuable information for the chiropractic profession. Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to add, join in, curse words, whatever?
I got something about tone.
Go ahead.
My office, or when I'm with a patient, they need to be relaxed so that when the adjustment is made, the tone, there is no resistance. As much as relaxed as they can be before and after the adjustment will allow the tone to be restored. If they're all uptight or doubtful, or they don't have any confidence in you, then they can't relax. So I think tone is also accomplished by us providing an atmosphere in ourselves and in our office so that tone can be accomplished within them.
Okay. All right. Dave, what do you have? You know, that's how, you know, that's a belief system. What's up, Dave?
Right. Yeah, that's objective.
Yeah, sure.
That's his,
Subjective
you know,
and
it's
objective.
yeah, it's an opinion.
So, you know, I always tell people who are like, you know, they're telling their spouse, relax. And I said, has he ever relaxed when you tell him to relax? you tell me to relax. It's like, oh shit, what did I do now? You know? But, you know, ease. That's why some people rest people after their adjustment. Some people make them wait even before their adjustments. Or, you know, I don't massage or anything, but, you know, I understand it. I understand it completely. All right, guys, it's 8:44. We're going to end for tonight. I want to open if anybody has any last comments or anything. I think we dug into some good stuff tonight. All right. We got into some really good philosophy. Alan, I really appreciate you. You did your homework. You get an A+. Everybody gets just a straight A, okay?
Oh, I see.
But, you know.
It was good. I felt like I was back at school. I got my book out. I was taking notes.
That's great. And there was on Todd Waters on his chiropractic history, he just went through tone not long ago. And people, where was the first time Dee Dee mentions tone and some other things like that? There's some really good things on that page.
I'll have to go back and look for that, yeah.
Yeah, dig through it a little bit. There's a lot of good stuff on that. All right, guys and girls, I love and appreciate you all. Have a fantastic night. And, you know, I will see you next week. All right? Invite friends, bring more people, and show up. That's the whole key. And hopefully I'll see some of you guys at DE in a couple of days. Good night.
Bye, guys. Thank you.